Hello friends, let's discuss current affairs, and today's first question relates to the election to the office of the Vice President of India. The new Vice President of India, and that will be the 14th Vice President of India, is Jagdeep Dhankar. That's on screen for you. We are going to write a bit about the Vice President of India's office, and before that, let me tell you a little about Sri Dhankar. Vice President Dhankar. He was born on the 18th of May 1951. Why is 18th May important? How do you remember this 18th May? 18th May is when we tested our first nuclear bomb in 1974. That's how I remember it. Okay. 18th May 1974 is when we tested our first nuclear bomb. But 23 years before this, he was the Vice President of India, Jagdeep Dhankar, was born in a small village in Rajasthan, and he studied in his village schools, then moved to Chittorgarh where he studied, pursued his higher secondary, and then of course pursued law. Enrolled as an advocate, as a lawyer, fighting at the practicing at the Rajasthan High Court. Later, the Rajasthan High Court appointed him a senior advocate. you know um, of course, then he joined the Janata Party. He won the election. Later, he moved to the Congress, and so he was a member of both, first the Janata Party and then the Congress, International Congress. Only in the first part of the first half of the first decade of the 21st century did Sri Dhankar join the BJP. Now, he was in the last main office he held was that of the governor of West Bengal. So he had been an MLA, an MP, a senior advocate of the Rajasthan High Court, and a governor as well. Okay, he has held a lot of in fact he had held a ministry as well. So, as a Vice President of India, he is also the Vice Chancellor of all central universities. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, I want to share with you a bit about the office of the Vice President of India. If you could write, it would help. If you are not comfortable writing, just listen to what I share with you. See, the office of the Vice President of India is listed in Article 63 to 73. Article 63 to 73. So, okay, 63 to 73. That's one. Two, a person to be eligible to contest for the president's vice president's post must be at least 35 years of age. Must be 35 years of age. That's one. Two, must be of sound mind, of course. Three, should not hold any of office of profit. And before two and three and one, in fact, before all of these, he must be a citizen of India. She or he must be a citizen of India. So the candidate must be a citizen of India, must be 35 years of age, must not hold any office of profit, must be eligible to be elected to the Rajya Sabha. This is very important. The president, if someone stands for the vice, for the president's office, then the person is said to be eligible. It must be eligible to be elected to the Lok Sabha. But when it comes to the vice president of India, it's eligibility concerning election to the Rajya Sabha that is looked at. Okay, so, and of course, once someone's nominated, who could be nominated? Someone who has at least 20 proposers and 20 seconders. 20 proposers must be there, and then 20 seconders. The candidate must deposit rupees 15,000 with the Reserve Bank of India. That's a security deposit. Okay. Now, who conducts the election to the Vice President's office? The Election Commission of India conducts the election, election to the office of the Vice President of India. Who elects the Vice President? All MPs of both houses of the Parliament. Both houses of the Parliament. So, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. So, Lok Sabha as of today 543 MPs, and this has 245 MPs. Now, The 245 include 12 nominated members. But please know that in the case of the vice president's election, all members of parliament, including nominated members, form the electoral college. This electoral college, comprising all the members of the parliament, elect the vice president of India. Okay, as of today, Sri Dhankar contested in an election where there were 725 seats, and if I'm not wrong, this is slightly, I think, yeah, read short. Yes, 528 seats. The person got, Sri Dhankar got 528 votes out of 725 eligible votes. That's a huge thing. And this is the biggest margin of victory since 1992. Since 1992. So to repeat, one, the vice president's office is listed in Articles 63 to 73, as I mentioned there. Two, a person to be eligible to become a candidate or to contest for the vice president's office must be a citizen of India, must be 35 years of age, must be of sound mind, must be eligible to be elected to the Rajya Sabha, must not hold any office of profit, must be proposed by 20 persons, and that proposal should be seconded by another 20, should deposit rupees 15,000 with the Reserve Bank of India as security deposit. And of course, this election to the vice president's office is conducted by the election commission, and the vice president of India is elected by an electoral college comprising all MPs, members of parliament, of both houses. When I say members of parliament, both houses, including nominated members. Okay, so that's a bit about this vice president's office. Now, a couple of things here. In case there is a dispute, what would happen? Well, in case there is a dispute to the vice president's, in the election to the vice president's office, this election dispute will be reviewed, will be investigated, will be settled by a five judge bench of the Supreme Court of India. 5-judge bench. Okay. Now, remember, all disputes concerning the elections to the president and vice president's office are settled by Supreme Court of India. Settled by Supreme Court of India. What is the salary of the vice president of India? 0. No, there is no salary. The vice president of India does not draw any salary as the vice president of India. But the vice president of India's most important function is to be the ex officio chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. That is, whoever is a vice president of India automatically becomes the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And as chairman of the Rajya Sabha, the vice president of India draws a salary of 4 lakh rupees per month. Okay. So as a vice president of India, 0 salary. But as the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, 4 lakh rupees per month. That's a salary. Okay. Now, in case the vice president wants to resign, who does he address his resignation? To the president. And if the president wants to resign, who does he address his resignation to? Vice president. Yes. Why vice president? But look, who will have to manage the affairs of the president's office in case the president is not around? It's a vice president. Okay. So I shared a few things about Sri Dhankar and office of the vice president of India. Okay. Now you may wonder a little about Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay, maybe in the next class I'll tell you about both houses of the parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, in terms of seats and everything else. It would take some time. It would take the focus of current affairs. Maybe in the beginning of the next class I'll bring in a bit about the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Okay. And Sri Dhankar, Jagdeep Dhankar defeated the opposition-sponsored candidate Margaret Alva. You see there in choice 5, you would, okay. Who has become the first woman Director General of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, a consortium of 38 research institutes across the country. That's the first ever woman Director General of CSIR. That's a great achievement, my friends. See, this is a kind of a glass ceiling that she's broken. I mean, it's this is a country where women are still underrepresented in scientific establishments, in politics, in you name a thing, name a domain where men and women work. But generally, there are fewer women in scientific establishments, and it's a matter of great pride for our country that a woman heads the top scientific research body in India. Dr. Nallatambi Kalaiselvi. She was born in a small town called Ambasamudram in Tirunelveli district in Tamil Nadu. Now, she studied in Tamil medium. See that these are things that are inspirational. How a small town girl could become the head, the lead scientist, the head of India's premier scientific research body. These are things that should inspire us to inspire us to do better in life. Okay. Nobody would have given her a chance when she was walking, she was walking past her home, coming out of home. She came out of home to school with a small bag, uniform or no uniform, and not shod in shoes and everything. Think about this. Who would have given her a chance? But determination, the willingness to work hard, the curiosity to learn, these things determine where we go in life. And thanks in no small measure to her parents, her principal backers who had that faith in her. So you could always come up the hard way, but that's a way you would have gone through. That's a way through which you would have gone through. A lot of suffering, a lot of struggle, but then there's such willingness to put in that effort is what sets you apart from the crowd. See, when you walk the extra kilometer, you will not find traffic jam. Most people will walk till the destination. But if you go beyond the destination, you will not find many people walking with you. There's no traffic jam there. Yeah. See, when you study, when you look at for yourself, like you preparing for your competitive entrance exams, a lot of people do study. But if you learn things that most people don't, if you put in that extra effort of 15 minutes, here 15 minutes there, you'll be different from others. That is what's going to make the difference. That extra 15 minutes. See, what's the difference between the hero and a villain? The hero lives 5 minutes longer. The hero lives 5 minutes longer. That's what I read in my childhood. Something like curiosity, something like willingness to work hard, something like, going that extra mile is going to make the difference. I'm sure a lot of you want to do well in life. In fact, everyone here wants to do well. So if you work hard, you have everything to gain. It's okay not to know. It's okay not to be comfortably speaking in English. It's okay not to be, conversant with working with conversational English. You can learn. This is not something that's something that you're born with. Yeah, I'm sure that Dr. Kalaiselvi wasn't comfortable speaking English. If today she is comfortable speaking English, she's comfortable with her research on lithium-ion batteries. She's learned all that. Obviously, you would know that in a small village like Ambasamudram in Tirunelveli district in Tamil Nadu down south, she wouldn't have had exposure to lithium-ion batteries. In fact, lithium-ion batteries have caught imagination only now because of the proliferance of the proliferation of electric vehicles, solar stuff and all that. So these are when you look at her, it's inspirational. What brought her here is what you should look at. Yeah. I hope you learn, my friends, because life is all about learning. It's all about learning. If we learn, we'll have a great future for ourselves. Yeah. See this choice B, choice two. Tessie Thomas. Tessie Thomas, Tessie Thomas is the first. Is called the Missile Woman of India. She was a project director of the Missile, Integrated Missile Development Program of India. She was the first woman to head it. And Tessie Thomas is no small fry. She's called the Missile Woman, and she's a kind of person that who's deeply inspirational, whose life journey is deeply inspirational. Yeah. So whenever you look at people who have come up the hard way, look at only a few things. What brought them there? What are those steps they took? What are those extra things they did that most people didn't? Yeah. Which state government decided to develop one Sanskrit speaking village in each of the state's 13 districts? Uttarakhand is looking at this. As of now, if I'm not wrong, there is only one village in India that's where every resident speaks in Sanskrit, converses in Sanskrit. Okay, that's the Mattur village in Shivamogga district in Karnataka. Mattur, M-A-T-T-U-R, Mattur village. Every kid there, every adult there converse in Sanskrit. Yeah, there are another 5 villages in India where people speak in Sanskrit. But more importantly, Mattur is the only place where everyone speaks in Sanskrit. Yeah. By the way, Uttarakhand was India's 28th state. 28th state. In fact, you would say not 28th. Technically, it was 28th. Then Jammu and Kashmir was split into 2, so this became 27th. But before that, Uttarakhand, there was Telangana. So the India's youngest state is Telangana. Okay, second youngest is Uttarakhand. I think this was 15th November 2000. This is 2nd June 2014. Yeah, I guess so. So, and Uttarakhand has 2 capitals. Find out what are they. I mentioned this in one of the recent classes as well. Pushkar Singh Dhami. Pushkar Singh Dhami is the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. This is also called Devabhumi. Devabhumi, the land of gods. Some of Hinduism's most sacred pilgrim centers, tirths, are in this state. Indrajit Kamotra was recently appointed the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Unity Small Finance Bank. Okay. See, Unity is a bank that's a joint venture between Centrum and Bharat Pay. Bharat Pay. Centrum Financial and Bharat Pay. 2 entities have come together to form Unity Small Finance Bank. Shall we look at the CEOs of the other choices? The banks in the other choices. Equitas, Vasudevan PN. Vasudevan PN. Fincare, Rajiv Yadav. Rajiv Yadav. Capital, Sarvajit Singh Samra. Okay. Sarvajit Singh Samra. Okay, Sarvajit Singh Samra. Then the last one, Utkarsh Govind Singh. Govind Singh. Okay. Under an arms control treaty known as New START, which country temporarily suspended on-site inspections of its strategic nuclear weapons. Well, Russia said we will no longer allow the US to come in to our country to inspect nuclear, uh, our nuclear weapons. So why don't you write a bit about START? This is something you should write about. START dash new start, or start is fine in this case. START. The full name: strategic arms reduction treaty. Okay, next point. Signed in 2010, signed SIGNED, signed in 2010, comma, ratified RATIFIED, ratified in 2011, comma, scheduled to last till 2026, next point. Limits all kinds of nuclear warheads like or including intercontinental ballistic missiles, so you should be able to reach another continent. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine launched ballistic missiles, and heavy bombers. See, the second B is silent. It's not bomber, it's bomber. You can say bomber also. Okay, next, last point. This treaty allows, ALLOWS, allows for satellite and remote inspections, remote monitoring, and 18 on-site inspections and 18 on-site 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 inspections, 18 on-site inspections per year to verify limits. See, for example, nuclear warheads should not exceed 1550. That's the number. So essentially what it says is that these limits should be verified. I mean, Americans will come to Russians, the Russians will go to America, they'll check whether these treaty norms are being followed or not. So as of today, Russians have said no, America cannot come in to inspect our nuclear weapons. They suspended this particular thing, but this is likely to be temporary. Let's see how it works out. And which country has the highest number of nuclear bombs? Russia. Russia has the largest number of nuclear bombs. About 25% higher than the US. More than 25%. Okay. I guess that should be it. See, a while ago we mentioned that India tested its first nuclear bomb in 1974. When did China do that? 10 years before India tested its first nuclear bomb, China tested its first nuclear bomb in 1964 in a desert region called Lop Nur, LOP space NUR. So while India tested nuclear bombs in Pokhran, Rajasthan, China did this in a place called Lop Nur. Lop Nur, 1964, China. First nuclear testing. Okay, yeah. Today, this Lop Nur is in the Xinjiang region of China. Pretty controversial place. In a first, which country's navy ship named Charles Drew arrived in India for carrying out repairs and allied services at the Larsen and Toubro shipyard at Kattupalli, Chennai. This is called the USNS Charles Drew. United States naval ship. United States naval ship. But if you had written that USNS, you would know the answer anyway. Yeah. Now, why is this a milestone event? See, carrying out ship repairs of especially military ships, naval ships, is not an ordinary task. There are secrets on board. There is machinery. There is gadgetry, which could be exposed to enemy countries. But now, the thing here is that this particular shipyard that belongs to L&T, which is a private company, was inspected by the U.S. Naval Department, and after a thorough check, whether it's capable of carrying out the required checks, required maintenance, required, repairs, only then the contract was issued. So, USNS Charles Drew came to India's Kattupalli shipyard belonging to L&T only after a contract was awarded. And the contract was awarded because India is today home to not just this particular shipyard. India is home to at least a dozen shipyards which have state-of-the-art repair facilities. Repair and of course shipbuilding facilities. See, we recently built INS Vikrant, our first indigenous aircraft carrier. We build a lot of submarines. We build a lot of destroyers, frigates, corvettes. We build all kinds of naval weapons, naval vessels. So this is not something that's new to us, but yes, it's a good thing that a foreign ship belonging to the world's biggest naval power came here for repair. See, in India there are at least six private shipyards. There are six shipyards, not private. There are six shipyards that have a turnover of at least or nearly $2 billion. $2 billion per annum turnover. That's close to 16,000 crore rupees in annual revenue through repairs and building new ships. That's a lot of money, my friends. And this was the time. There was a time till about 10-15 years back when our ships used to go out, and we weren't that good at doing things, building new ones. Today we are world class. Yeah. Now one more thing I want to tell you. You see this here, Larsen and Toubro. This is India's biggest engineering firm. Okay, now it's diversified into a lot of things. I want to tell you that two guys from Denmark started this company. Henning Hawk Larsen and Soren Toubro. Okay? In short, I'll write it here. Henning Hawk Larsen and Soren Toubro started this company, engineering company, of course. And today it's one of the world's biggest, my friends. India's biggest, one of the world's biggest. Okay? So, India has one of the 5 biggest naval forces in the world, my friends. Gustavo Petro was recently sworn in as the first leftist president of India. See, a leftist is a socialist, typically a communist or a socialist. Those who are not greatly familiar with what is communism, simple put, this is a political idea which calls for a one-party state. One-party state. Okay? In a communist country, there can only be one political party. no other political party is allowed to exist. And that party, the party that is allowed to exist is the Communist Party itself. A good example is China. Now, when the Communist Party is in power, it has an economic philosophy which calls for socialist ownership of, all resources, all economic resources. So this economic policy of social ownership is called socialism. So, in a socialist country, in a socialist economy, all factors of production, all land, all labor, all capital, all are owned by the government. Like, for example, the government provides the capital, so the government is the owner of the business. Okay, the government owns all the land in the country. The government owns labor. Like you and I will exist for the government. We cannot work in the private sector because the private sector does not exist in a socialist country. So socialism is about social ownership of resources, whereas communism is a political idea which is which calls for a single party political state, single party state. It's a kind of a dictatorship. Okay. Now, how did these terms come? Leftist and all that. How did they see in the French Parliament in the Jamana in the old days? Okay. To the left of the speaker used to sit the socialist who believed that the state should have greater role in economic affairs. And to the right of the speaker used to sit the nationalist who believed that that economic resources should be run by private individuals. It should not be the state's business. So the people to the right of the speaker, nationalists, were pro-business. These guys were anti-business and pro-government role. The socialists were pro-government role. So, in order to avoid repeatedly calling them nationalist or their political party's name, the speaker would say, the leftist to my leftist to rightist, like that. That's how the name stuck. So, leftists today are communist socialists, common ordinary bhasha mein. So, rightist would be nationalist, pro-business, okay, and they are typically, pro-low taxes and all that stuff. Got it? Yeah, they are conservatives. Rightists are conservative people. So this guy Petro, Gustavo Petro, was his formula guerrilla. He was a Marxist. He was his father of Karl Marx, who believed in revolutionary communist change in his country. Communists always believe in revolutionary change. They don't believe in gradual changes. Like the Naxals in India, they believe in Mao, the ruler of China between 1949 and 1976. So Mao believed in a single party dictatorship, one man dictatorship. The Naxals in India believe that there should be a communist revolution. All the land and everything should be taken over by the Communist Party and they should run the country, throwing out democracy, tearing up the Constitution of India and everything. Okay? That is what the Naxals in India want. So Colombia's new president is this. This Colombia, it's the only country to have both coasts. It has islands on both sides. Sorry. It has the Atlantic coast and it has the Pacific coast. At the same time, you see Chile here. Yeah, it technically doesn't have the Atlantic coast, but you could say it has the Atlantic coast here. Okay. Now, you should know one more thing, that Colombia is named after Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus. It's the only country in the world named after Christopher Columbus. Okay. Argentina. This is Argentina, the only country to be named after an element. Argentinium silver gave its name to Argentina. Okay. The president is Alberto Fernandez. Alberto Fernandez. See, there's a lot to discuss. We just don't have the time to discuss so much. Okay. This is Peru. Pedro Castillo is the president here. The Brazil, huge country. The president here is Jair Bolsonaro, the Trump of Brazil. Chile, this north south country, pretty narrow country. Gabriel Boric. Gabriel Boric. Which of the below statements regarding the current developments in chess is are true? All of them are true. Djokovic of Russia, this guy is a Russian, has been re-elected president of FIDE. Okay, you can say FIDE or FIDE. FIDE is the French short form of, its French full form, basically Federation Internationale de Chess kind of things. Okay, so this is the English one, International Chess Federation. And Arkady Djokovic of Russia has been re-elected, while the first time ever we have an Indian as a deputy president of the FIDE. Vishwanathan Anand, or inarguably India's greatest chess player. Yeah, and I think current world number 11. Pranav, this is Pranav. Look at this little fellow. He is 70. He is India's newest grandmaster. The 27th fellow from Tamil Nadu and the 75th fellow from India. Yeah. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, which was proposed for passage in the 117th United States Congress in July 2022, was aimed at, you can see all of them are right, curbing inflation by reducing the deficit. Deficit means what? Export and import deficit. See, United States runs a huge deficit. Okay, it exports much less than what it imports. It's the world's biggest importer. United States is world's biggest importer. US biggest importer. China biggest exporter. Just to give you a scale of their exports, last year $2,500 billion worth of exports, and I think America imported stuff worth 2,100 billion. It could be slightly lower than the actual number, but that's is subject to, of course, a lot of revision. Final numbers are there. Okay, so America is going through a lot of pretty high inflation today, and that is squeezing the quality of life, standard of life of millions of Americans. Okay, and this despite America being one of the largest producers of natural gas and petroleum, top 3 in either. It's a top 3 producer of natural gas, top 3 producer of petroleum, yet it has inflation. And there are a lot of reasons as to why there is inflation and everything, but it is about, see, this clean energy, domestic energy, a lot of things here, isn't it? It's about energy. So I'll tell you a little about America's energy mix. Okay, you could write this: America's energy mix, US energy mix. I remember the data, and my data comes from the US Environmental Agency, US Energy Agency. So nothing is mine. It all comes from the US government. Okay. See, when we were talking of energy mix, we're talking of natural gas, petroleum, coal, renewable energy, everything. Okay. So you could write 36% highest natural gas. 5 less. 31 petroleum. About 12% coal. It is 11 to 12%. Let's make it 12%. 13. So it is 67. 13 renewable energy. Okay. So this is 25.7. Okay. 8% nuclear. 8% nuclear energy. 8% nuclear energy. Rest is mix and match. Okay. Converting waste into electricity, a lot of other things as well. Next, let's write India. India. India energy mix. India energy mix. See, I believe in giving extra stuff, so in case some of you feel that, well, it's not required, kindly be patient. And this data comes from the Ministry of Power. Yes, Government of India data as latest as June 2022. It's there on the Ministry of Power website. Please look it up once. Okay. 58.5% coal and fossil fuels and other fossil fuels. Coal and other fossil fuels. Next, 11.6% hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity, 11.6%. Next, you write there. Next, 28.3 renewable energy. 28.3 renewable energy. That would be solar, wind. Yeah, we are emerging as a major solar power now. Yeah. So next, 1.7% nuclear energy. So 11.6 in hydroelectricity, 28.3 renewable energy, 1.7 nuclear energy. Okay. So if you look at that, it would come to about 41.5%. So 41.5 plus 58.5, 100%. It's there on the website, on the Power Ministry of India. Okay. So I just wanted to share a few things. This is a lot of extra stuff that's not related directly to this question, but I just wanted to give you. Yeah. The 13th edition of X Vajra Prahar, Exercise Vajra Prahar 2022 between India and Dash, United States, took place at the Special Forces Training College in Baklo in Himachal Pradesh. Okay, we could write one or two odd exercises involving each of these. Okay, let's write. Army exercises. We'll focus on army exercises. Oman Al Naga. Oman Al Naga. We're talking about only army exercises. Okay. Ostra. US, one is Vajra Prahar, the other is Yuddha Abhyas. So there are two army exercises. Okay, Yuddha Abhyas and Vajra Prahar with the US. France, Shakti. Army, Indian Army and French Army participated in exercise Shakti. Exercise Shakti. UK, Ajaya Warrior. Ajaya Warrior. Please look it up once. These are all names of army exercises. Nothing Air Force, not naval or anything. Fair? In collaboration with the Drone Federation of India, which of the following forces launched the Him Dronathan program? Indian Army is headed by General Manoj Manoj Pandey. Air Marshal Vivek Ram Chaudhary. Admiral what's his name? R. Harikumar. Harikumar. Border Security Force. Director General is Pankaj Pankaj Kumar Singh. Pankaj Kumar Singh. National Security Guard M.A. Ganapati. Director General is M.A. Ganapati. M.A. Ganapati. M.A. Ganapati. The following are some of India's gold medal winners at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Identify the correct combinations. Look at this girl, Neetu Gangas. Yeah, she's this girl from I think 21-year-old from Haryana. Yeah. So she's won the boxing gold. All of them, in fact, Nikhat from my city, Hyderabad. She's won a boxing gold. Srija is also from Hyderabad, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So they're all gold medal winners. And I'm going to give you a bit of a dope on the Commonwealth Games themselves. Okay. Please write this. We'll look at Commonwealth Games basic data, including the top 5 medals, toppers. Right. CWG 2022. 1. Host city. You know this. Birmingham, England, UK. England, UK. They could ask you this question. See, when it comes to the Commonwealth, Britain includes Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, England. All these play separately. They participate separately as separate countries. Okay. So they may ask you Birmingham. Where is Birmingham? Birmingham is in England, UK. Okay. Otherwise, at the Olympics, it's one country, UK. But at the Commonwealth Games, it's a separate country. Okay. Each constituent becomes a separate country. Next, motto. Sport is just the beginning. Sport is just the beginning. Sport is just the beginning. Next. Sport is just the beginning. Next. Around 5,000 athletes. It's actually 5054. Make it 5,000. Around 5,000 athletes took part, or you could write this. Around 5,000 athletes from 72 Commonwealth nations. 72 Commonwealth nations. That includes Scotland, Wales, like that. Okay. 72 Commonwealth nations took part in 280 events in 20 sports. 20 sports. So to repeat, around 5,000 athletes from 72 Commonwealth Games, 22 Commonwealth nations took part in 280 events across 20 sports. Okay, next. Mascot. Perry, comma, a multicolored bull. B-U-L-L. Multicolored bull. Okay. Multicolored bull. Next. before we take the names of the top 5 medals winners, we will write the name of the venue of the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Right? Venue of 2026 CWG. Victoria State, Australia. Victoria State, Australia. So instead of just one city, in 2026, the entire state of Victoria, where Melbourne's there, okay, in Australia, Victoria State will have 4 or 5 cities, hosting different events of the Commonwealth Games. Fair? So for now, we will just write Victoria State, Australia. Next, leave this clearly. We'll just, okay, right. Top 5 medal winners. Top 5 medal winners. Rank, country, gold, total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top ranker, Australia. Top ranker, Australia. 67 golds. That's a lot of gold. 178 in total. 178. 2. England. 57. 172 less, na? Yeah. Here 10 less, here 2 less. So, second, England. 57. 176. Third, Canada. Canada, 26 golds, 92 total, 92 total. 4, India, our country. We did fabulously well. Our boxers, our paddlers, table tennis guys, our badminton, our badminton players did fabulous. Weightlifters, everyone's contributed a great deal in a big way. Okay. Fourth, India, 22 buys, 22. Overall, that is total 61. 92 na, Canada, India, I am writing in full so that there is no confusion in your minds at least. Fifth one is, what is that country? New Zealand. New Zealand. Sometimes the mind doesn't work at all. Well, of course, it rarely works. New Zealand, 20 golds and 49 total. So these are the top 5, medal winners. This is India's best ever performance, my friends. Yes. Who of the following persons recently chaired the 7th Governing Council meeting of the Niti Aayog in New Delhi? Niti Aayog is the NITI stands for National Institution for Transforming India. I repeat, National Institution for Transforming India. This organization replaced the Planning Commission of India. Okay, the Planning Commission of India was started in 1950. 1950. Now it was replaced in 2015, 2015 by Niti Aayog. Today, the Niti Aayog has an ex officio chairman. That is, see, by virtue of being the Prime Minister of India, ex officio chairman is Prime Minister of India, whoever is the Prime Minister of India automatically becomes the chairperson of the Niti Aayog. Such was the case with the Planning Commission as well. The Planning Commission's chairperson was the Prime Minister of India. So is the case with Niti Aayog. Okay. Now, Suman Berry is the vice chairperson of Niti Aayog. Vice chairperson or chairman, vice chairman of Niti Aayog, Suman Berry. Parmeshwaran Iyer is the chief executive officer of Niti Aayog. Chief executive officer of Niti Aayog. Amitabh Kant is the G20 Sherpa. G20 Sherpa. This year, India is going to host G20. Okay. And the Sherpa is basically the interlocutor, the coordinator, the MyBop of this event from India. Is going to be Amitabh Kant, the ex-CEO of Niti Aayog. Okay. Yeah. With state government recently signed an MOU or signed a memorandum of understanding with Deloitte India, appointing it as a consultant to achieve United States $1 trillion economy target. That's a lot of growth they're aiming at. Uttar Pradesh has said that today we are about $225 billion economy, but we aim to be a $1 trillion economy by 2027, 2027. Another 5 years, they want to more than triple the numbers. More than triple the numbers. So the Uttar Pradesh government has appointed Deloitte to come up with a framework, policy, and everything that would, that will showcase the pathway the UP government or UP has to take to become a $1 trillion economy. Okay, 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. 1,000 billion. But if you ever read in the newspapers that India's tax collection are 3 trillion rupees. 3 trillion means here in this case lakh, in this case, so 3 lakh rupees in tax collection. So rupees 3 lakh trillion, rupees 2 lakh trillion. So if it's rupees and trillion, then it's lakh. Okay. The 12th edition of Defense Expo, India's flagship exhibition on land, naval and homeland security systems, will be held in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. This is a planned city. What else can we discuss? There's hardly anything for me to discuss here. Chalo. Name the exercise conducted by the Indian Army to evaluate the operational readiness of the country's satellite communication assets and training of personnel manning these assets. Skylight. What is it? Skylight. So, in case there are, there is an enemy attack on India's satellite systems, how do we, handle the situation? How do we prevent a satellite network, an attack on India's satellite systems? Because the satellite systems are pretty crucial to defense needs of our country. The army depends on the ISRO satellites. See, army of the three wings, Navy, Air Force. Army is the only one that does not have its own dedicated satellite. Yes, the Indian Navy has its own dedicated satellite. The Indian Air Force has it, but Indian Army doesn't have it. So, the government of India has permitted the Indian Army to have its own dedicated satellite called the GSAT-7B. GSAT-7B. By 2025, the Indian Army can have its own Army's own dedicated satellite. Own dedicated satellite. Yes. Okay. As part of its plan to be among the top 3 public sector banks, which bank recently launched Raise Goal? Well, Union Bank of India has done this, but let me tell you a bit about this. What are India's top 3 banks? Top 5. Because currently the Union Bank of India is in the 5th place. Okay, so you could write this. Top 5 Indian banks by assets. A lot of data comes through this kind of class. Top 5 Indian banks by assets. By assets. 1. State Bank of India. I will not give you decimal points unless they are seriously necessary. 45 lakh crore. LC is lakh crore. LC is lakh crore. Okay. 2. Punjab National Bank. No. Yeah, Punjab National Bank. Please write. Write this. Space everything. Yeah. 12.6 or make it 13. 12.6 if you want to write to be exact. 12.6 lakh crore. 3. Bank of Baroda. Bank of Baroda. Bob. Bank of Baroda. 11.5. 11.5. 11.5. 4. Canara Bank. 11.4. 11.4. See, actually, Bank of Baroda is 11.55. Canara Bank is 11.53. But I gave you 11.4 and this as 11.5. Just to make the difference. I didn't want these decimals to be there. That's it. Even if you write it here, it hardly makes any difference. Okay? Yeah. So Canara Bank 11.4. Single decimal will take. 5th place, Union Bank of India. Union Bank of India. 10.7 lakh crore rupees in assets. 10.7 lakh crore rupees in assets. In assets. Okay. Union Bank of India has a woman CEO. I think the first ever woman CEO of Union Bank of India. And the name is A. Mani Mekalai. A. Mani Mekalai. Mani Mekhalai. Mani Mekalai. Okay. For his immense contribution to humanity, whom in the following was honored with the Dipal and Gram Dostan Award. I don't know how to read it. The local language pronunciation could be radically different. The highest civilian honor of Ladakh. This is the great Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, it's a title. So you should say the Dalai Lama. जैसे हम भगवान बुद्ध कहते हैं. Gautama, the Buddha. It's people say Gautam Buddha is fine. But technically, going by standard English, it should be Gautama, the Buddha. The word Buddha means enlightened. Gautama, the enlightened one. The one who has realized the truth. Okay? So this is the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, because it's a title. It's a title. What was his actual name? Tenzin Gyatso. This was my, in my childhood, we used to, this was a favorite question of quiz masters. Tenzin Gyatso. The original name of the great Dalai Lama. Yeah. He received the 1989 Nobel Peace Prize also. 1989 Nobel Peace. See, he doesn't speak great English. He speaks good English. You see the great former president, the late Sri Abdul Kalam, extraordinary speaker, poor English, but great man. When he would speak, people, masters in English would listen to him with rapt attention because he spoke sense. He had that passion when he spoke. So does the great Dalai Lama. You should listen to him. He speaks beautifully well. Yeah. I have always admired him. It's pretty. He's confrontational, but in a very different, subtle way. Very subtle way. Yeah. What about the choices there? Kiren Rijiju is the Union Law Minister, Union Law and Justice Minister, that is the Law and Justice Minister of India. Chandi Prasad Bhatt, he started the Dasholi Gram Swaraj, Dasholi Gram Swaraj Sangh. This later became the main body leading the Chipko movement. You know the Chipko movement? This is the anti-tree felling movement in Uttarakhand. Chipko. Okay. That was popularized by Sundarlal Bahuguna. Yeah. Chandi Prasad Bhatt. Then Pope Francis. Look at Pope Francis, the head of the billion plus Roman Catholic Church. Yeah. Billion plus means followers. Yeah. Yeah. Roman Catholic Christianity, Christian Roman Catholic Church. Reid Hoffman, you don't need to know. He is one of the two co-founders of LinkedIn. You know LinkedIn? Yes, LinkedIn's co-founder. There is a guy called Eric Liu. If you are just interested, Reid Hoffman and Eric Lee started a company called LinkedIn, which is the world's largest professional networking platform. This is now owned by Microsoft. Which of the following is an independent watchdog body of banking industry that ensures customers get services as promised by banks? I think there's nothing to discuss. BCS BI. Let's go past this, my friends. The deposit insurance facility of the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation of India is available only for which of the following categories? It's available to only those guys who have deposits in a bank. Okay, like if you have 5 lakh rupees, up to 5 lakh rupees of your money in the bank branch, one branch of a bank is safe, is insured. Okay. So term deposits relate to fixed deposits, RDs, recurring deposits, and all that stuff. So mutual fund investors don't get it. There is no guarantee. It's all market-based performance. NBFCs, non-banking finance corporation, chit funds, and all that. Okay. As per the RBI's instructions, interest rate on savings bank account is calculated on daily basis. Earlier it used to be monthly basis, now it's daily basis. Some banks used to do it on a weekly basis. Now the RBI has strictly mandated, no guys, you got to pay interest to the customers on the balance they keep on a day basis. Which is good for people like us. Yeah, provided we have money in our accounts. That's all from me. Have a lot of fun. Thanks for being here. Have a lot of fun. Stay curious.